Upper body day, overhead press, bench press, chin-ups, and French press. I'll find some questions and try to give you some good answers to them. What are your thoughts on butt wink? Specifically, do you think it's bad for the body like a lot of people claim? I don't think butt wink is bad. I would actually challenge you and say that I don't think, I would challenge your claim, that a lot of people claim it's bad. I don't think that's true. I do think there was a time, probably like 2018, 2019, maybe 2020, where the claim of a butt wink was bad. Then it was popular, and a lot of people were saying that, but I think people have moved on. So, yeah, but no, I don't think there's anything wrong with a butt wink. Being a proponent of speed and power, why don't you do, quote, dynamic effort work, i.e. doubles and triples with 60 to 70% plus bands, etc.? And also, what about upper body speed and power movements? Yeah, so I've talked about this in a few separate videos. I'll touch on the upper body speed and power movements. I think the best thing, and I'm gonna sound like a total simp for Olympic lifts again, but the best thing for upper body power improvement is gonna be something like a snatch, something like a push press, something like a muscle snatch. And the reason being is that the upper body is contributing to the task in conjunction with the lower body. I don't like separating the upper limbs from the lower limbs to train the upper limbs for power, but check out some of my other stuff on YouTube where I talk about this. Regarding the dynamic effort work, to keep it short and sweet, in order to improve your potential to produce more power, you have force and you have velocity. You have to increase your maximum force potential and your maximum speed of contraction potential. Doing dynamic effort work, yeah, it's going to allow you to produce more power in the specific task that you're doing. So like if you're squatting with 60 to 70% with bands, that's going to allow you to produce more power than squatting heavier weights in the context of squatting. You have power, which is the production of force and velocity. So you have to improve at least one of those variables in order for you to improve your potential to produce higher power. That's kind of the short answer of it, but I have other videos on that, so check those ones out. Do I take creatine? Yeah, I take creatine. I take the Legion creatine gummies. Let me go get them actually, I'll show you. These are what I got, the creatine gummies. I got a lemon drop flavor and sour blue raspberry flavor. This is probably the most convenient way I've ever taken creatine, is through a gummy form. Once I started taking these, I haven't missed a dose because, I mean, you guys who take creatine, you know how it is. If you have like the unflavored powder, you forget to take it for some reason. You don't mix it in your protein, or you don't mix it in a Gatorade or whatever you mix it in. With these, I just take them right away when I get up. So I just wake up and there's the first thing I take with a glass of water. It tastes good. It's really easy to take. You never forget. So this is what I get. Get them from Legion for 20% off using the code HOSS. You think feet not completely leaving the floor during Olympic lifts is a problem, like only heels coming off? Some coaches have told me yes, some have told me no. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a problem, but it's gonna be a little bit more inefficient if you keep your feet in contact with the ground, because then you have friction between the foot and your floor. You're not gonna be able to slide your feet out and get into like a better catch position. So if you're like dragging your foot on the floor to kind of get to your squatting stance as you're trying to receive the bar, it's gonna make you less efficient. Calling it a problem, I don't know if I'd call it a problem, but yeah, it's a technical error. It's a technical error, I guess I would say. So if you're having that problem, maybe you could take the jump cue that you've probably heard before, the cue jump, to get those feet off the floor and widen your stance out a little bit to receive the bar. That might help. But I mean, you're still getting a great stimulus if you're cleaning and you're keeping your foot in contact with the ground. All right, moving on to bench press next. I did want to touch more on the dynamic effort question. So I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I think there is value in doing something like 60 to 70% of your 1 rep max with some accommodating resistance and moving it as fast as you can. I'm not opposed to it. I do think there's some value. However, the value comes from like managing stress, managing fatigue, managing load, because what you're still doing, it's not as stressful as like squatting is heavy. But you're still loading a movement pattern. You're still attempting to move the bar as fast as you can. That's good. You're still getting some strength stimulus that's going to drive some sort of adaptation, either strength adaptation or even adaptation to the muscle tissue. I think all of that's good. I just think when you, sorry, it's 5:31 in the morning right now. I had to get up really early to get this done, and I'm short on time, so I'm trying to get through this fast. But when you take it in its entirety with an entire strength conditioning program, like Olympic lifting, lifting heavy, sprinting, doing plyos, I think in terms of improving your ability to produce high power outside of the context of that thing, like in a sports context or whatever context you want to be able to transfer that power output into something else, I think it provides negligible benefits in terms of that. But no, I'm not opposed to doing it. I think it's really good to do for athletes who are in season, like football players who are squatting on like a Wednesday and they have games every Saturday. That's like maybe a good time to do some dynamic effort work, or even like a Friday before a Saturday game. So I do see some value in it. For me, in what I'm doing, I don't see much value for me to do it, but I'm not opposed to people doing it if they apply it in the right way. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on the dynamic effort question there. All right, bench press. I got 275 on the bar. How can I get my triple extension / hip drive better? I'm just trying to do more cleans right now and mimic your technique. I feel like my hip drive is non-existent off the higher block pulls. A couple drills I think would be helpful for this. I'm assuming you mean you just like don't finish your pull when you do cleans. You could do no contact cleans, and you could do no foot cleans. Both of those things are going to, especially the no foot cleans where you can't move your feet. The first time you do it, the first rep you do that, you're gonna be like, holy shit, I have no pop, I have no power. I guess same with the no contact cleans too. So those are two drills that I think would help, because it's gonna force you to get as much power output and transfer that power into the bar with those constraints, that once you start getting your feet back into it and once you're allowed to start making contact again after doing those drills, you're gonna feel a lot better. So those are two drills I would recommend. What supplements do I take? I really don't take that many supplements. I take the creatine gummies that I just showed you. I take protein powder. All the stuff I take is from Legion. So the protein powder, the creatine gummies. I take a greens supplement because I don't eat any vegetables except for potatoes. I eat baked potatoes, and then I'll eat spinach if I put it in a shake. But other than that, I don't eat vegetables. So I take a green supplement. I mean, that's really it. I take magnesium. Magnesium helps me sleep, I guess. Some days, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, magnesium, creatine, protein powder, and green supplement. Do I have thoughts on the Tony Holler and feed the cats philosophy? I don't really have any thoughts on that. I'm aware of Tony Holler. I've watched some of his presentations on YouTube. I follow him on social media. I think he has some good stuff out there. I also think he's wrong about a few things, like his position on aerobic work. I think is just factually incorrect. You can check that out if you're interested in what he says about that stuff. But as far as feed the cats philosophy goes, I don't really know what it is, I guess. I think, isn't it just like high frequency sprinting? Isn't that really what it is? High frequency sprinting, low volume sprinting, quality rep sprinting. I think that's kind of what feed the cats philosophy is. So my opinion on that is charitable. So if one is following a percentage progression with no reps prescribed, and you want to do 2 to 3 sets with a 3 reps in reserve, Would each individual set be independent from each other, meaning that no set would have the same amount of reps as the last one because you're trying to keep 3 reps in reserve for each set? Yes, exactly. So if you're doing sets of 1 to 2 RIR or 2 to 3 RIR, you shouldn't have a prescribed number of reps going into that set because you're going until, because you don't want to do like, all right, I'm going to do a set of 5 with 1 to 2 RIR. Then you get to set 5 and you have like 3 or 4 reps left in the tank and you're not going to want to finish that set. So just don't prescribe the amount of reps per set, just prescribe the RIR. Once you get to that RIR, you cut the set off. So that's how the Haas Project 2 is going to be programmed, a lot of that kind of stuff. I would like to hear you say more about hamstring training. What do you think about hamstring curl machines versus Nordics? What about the 45-degree hip extension, hyperextension versus an RDL? For some reason, hamstrings have always seemed more complicated to train. I don't think hamstrings are complicated to train. I guess you could make an argument that they are because they cross the knee and the hip, so they're biarticular. So yeah, I like to train knee flexion and hip extension with the hamstrings. I probably am going to err on doing more hip extension, strength training wise. But as far as like exercise selection wise goes, any sort of hinge or any sort of pull, like ground-based pull or an RDL, those are going to be my go-to things to train hamstrings. Knee flexion-wise, Nordic hamstring curls, glute ham raises, even just like sometimes I don't a lot, but I will be actually using the leg curl machine here, like a prone lying leg curl. I think all that stuff is great to do. Just do both. Do hip extension, do knee flexion for the hamstrings. Train various rep ranges, go heavy, you know. Don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. In the context of max strength, do you think your row, Pendlay, or otherwise should be within a certain percentage of your bench? For example, 80%? Or should people just focus on putting numbers on the bar with safe execution? Asking as a fairly novice lifter. Yeah, focus on putting numbers on the bar with safe execution. I'm sure there is some sort of like ratio that most people are at regarding like their Pendlay row versus their bench press. I think, geez, now let me think about this. I could probably Pendlay row 405 for a couple of reps. It just depends on how much assistance I use with like some hip drive and lower body. But no, your bench press is going to be stronger, generally speaking. If it's like a true upper body only movement for the row, your pressing is always going to be stronger than your pulling. But I don't know what a kind of ratio you should be at, but you said 80%. I don't know, that just like without thinking about it, that seems pretty fair to me. All right, that's all I got, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.